HumaneSociety.org confirms that 3 to 4 million innocent dogs lose their lives every year in the United States because they're euthanized. Today we're going to discuss some of the reasons why they're euthanized and also ways to help that we can lower these devastating numbers. On pause.org, I found the #1 reason dogs are euthanized is because of overpopulation that leads to lack of space. HSUS confirms that 6 million dogs are taken to animal shelters every year. This could be because someone has a pet and they decided it's too big of a responsibility and they take them to animal shelters. This could be because the dog roams off and gets another dog pregnant, they have a litter of puppies, and the owner of the dog doesn't want the puppies, so they take them to animal shelters. Also, puppy mills breed in mass amounts to sell to pet stores. The ones left over, they go to animal shelters or they kill them themselves. The only 100% effective way we can lower these numbers is to neuter our pets. Neutering can also benefit in many other areas that we'll discuss later on. Another way you can lower these numbers, instead of buying a dog and supporting these puppy mills, go adopt a pet. There are 30% of the dogs in animal shelters are purebred. On the same website, I found the #2 reason dogs are euthanized is because of aggression or behavioral problems. Cesar Millan is best known for his television show, The Dog Whisperer, on National Geographic. He trains people how to be responsible pet owners and rehabilitates dogs with all problems, including aggression. He's often said that these dogs are not born with behavioral problems, they're created by the owner. This may be on accident just because they don't know how to properly raise their dog, or sadly enough, people sometimes do it on purpose and train their dogs to be aggressive and to fight. He has also said that 99% of all dogs can be rehabilitated with any problems. Their lives are not disposable. Dogs often attack out of fear, not because they're just mean dogs. And society often sentences these poor dogs to death, even though it's the human's fault. These dogs don't have a voice. It's our job to be their voice. I said that we would talk about neutering and its benefits later on. It can help with a lot of unwanted behavior, such as aggression. It can lower aggression by 60%. Jeff Young said that in his article. He also said that it can reduce the chance of marking by 50%. That's a big problem that people have with their pets. They get very frustrated when they mark on the floor, they urinate on their couch and their furniture, and just by neutering your pet you can lower this number by 50%. He also says that it can reduce roaming by 90%. This is when dogs are natural breeders. They need to breed twice a year if they're not neutered. And they'll run off and do so if they're not neutered. Or they'll have that pent-up energy which leads to aggression. Cesar Millan believes that by neutering your pet you'll get an overall better companion, and believes that it can also extend your animal's life by 1 to 3 years. I'm going to share some stories with you about some dogs that were on death row, and it ended up being a happy ending. I'll start with Masha. She was found in a dumpster. Someone had thrown her away, and someone walked by the dumpster and found her and took her to a local animal shelter. She was there a couple weeks when a family adopted her, still as a puppy. She grew up to be about 60 pounds, and they realized she was too big of a responsibility, and they took her back to the animal shelter. The animal shelter didn't have room for her, so she was going to be euthanized the next day. Luckily, a family heard this story and couldn't bear the thought of her being killed for no reason. They went and adopted her, and now she's in her forever home. I'm going to tell you about Bella. Bella was in a local animal shelter, and the animal shelter, because of funding and the economy, they were going to have to close. They weren't getting donations or volunteers. All the dogs in their animal shelters that were not adopted within a couple weeks were going to be euthanized. The lady you see in the picture, she had a non-profit organization animal shelter, and she couldn't bear the thought of seeing all these animals die, even though she didn't have a room in her shelter for them. She took them in anyway. Bella won a pretty special place in her heart and got to come home with her. She now sleeps every night with a cat who's her best friend. And this is a pretty special story because this is Smoochie. He's my dog. He was a stray when he found my husband and I. I say he found us because he wandered onto my mom's property. When he came up there, his hair was so matted he couldn't even use the restroom, and he was so infested with fleas it tore his stomach up, and he had raw spots which were infected. He was really scared, he wouldn't eat, and that's unusual for a stray dog. You think they'll eat anything. Well, he wouldn't. So my husband and I took him to a vet the next day, got his hair cut, got him on medicine for his cuts. It took him a long time to eat and gain weight, but he ended up doing it. And now he's happy, and my husband and I couldn't imagine our lives without him. Now that you know all the facts and numbers, help me take a stand. These animals' lives are not disposable. I know I've said that like 3 times, but it's really important that people understand that. You can't just kill an animal because there's no room for them. They can't do anything about it. You know that there's really simple ways that we can lower these numbers. By neutering a pet, adopting a pet. Don't support those puppy mills. If you or anyone else you know that wants to be a pet owner from an animal shelter, or you'd like to volunteer your time, or just a few dollars since the economy is bad and a lot of these local shelters are closing, you can go to greenpeople.org. There you type in Humane Society or animal shelters. It will give you a list of all the states and the cities and some easy ways you can make a stand and help these animals. This is something that's very dear to my heart, and I really appreciate everyone taking the time and listening. If you have any questions at all or any comments, please don't hesitate to email me at kendra6768@yahoo.com. Thank you again.